Got 4.
This is the Selectmen's meeting for June 3rd, 2010. First order of business, salute to the American flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes of last meeting.
I make a motion we approve the minutes of the last meeting as written.
Second.
All in favor? Signing of the warrants. We don't have approval of agenda on there.
Oh.
Missing. How do you like that?
Skipped right off.
That's the first mistake.
Add it in.
We'll add it in.
This is the first mistake I've seen since I've been a selectman. Apparently Debbie has a good sense of humor tonight. And her husband.
Well, one of the things that happened today was the power went off, and I may have been working on the agenda because the television, the computer both shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sad.
We never get a UPS for yours?
Huh?
We never get one of those battery backups for your computer?
Well, it came back on, but it shut off. No, it didn't come back on. I had to turn it back on.
Oh, so we didn't get a battery backup for yours?
Apparently not.
All right. Well,
Okay, we're adding in approval of agenda.
I make a motion we approve the agenda, with the approval of the agenda on there.
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
Does that make any sense?
There is no old business. Going on to new business. Awarding of the audit bid. We have 2 bids in for the audit. And we've done some research on this, and Cherri Smith has done some research and would like to report on what she has found out. Okay.
To the Town of Acton Selectmen, at your request, I've done some research on the 2 firms that have sent in proposals for the Town of Acton audit. The following outlines the system I used and the results. I called 2 of the towns from each auditor and asked the same questions of each. Number 1, the software used. 2, if they were satisfied. 3, if the audit was done in a timely fashion, and if they had occasion to need non-audit accounting assistance. The results are as follows. For Mr. Mowrey, I called Cornish and Leamington. They have Trio and NBS respectively. They both were satisfied. The audit was done in a timely fashion for both, and neither of them had occasion to need non-audit accounting assistance. For RTH Smith, I called Limerick and Mucciaccio. They both had Trio. They were both satisfied. The audit was done in a timely fashion for both, and Limerick said they were very helpful with non-audit accounting assistance, and Mucciaccio said yes, they had used them for that due to their turnover and fraud investigation that they had had in their town. Regarding Mr. Mowrey, it should be noted that both of the towns I spoke to regarding Mr. Mowrey stated that they were not doing all of their accounting functions through Trio or NDS respectively. They were both doing things the old way, and I have this in quotes because that was exactly what they said to me. Also, Mr. Mowrey was able to give the towns adjusting entries to perform, but could not actually do them himself in the system. As Mr. Mowrey's bid consisted of only a letter, a certificate, and a letter from a peer review group, I also addressed him with the missing items from his proposal. Number 1, no description of firm. His quote was, "I'm self-employed and I do the work myself." Number 2, he answered, it was some basic guidelines that have to be done through an audit, on an audit, and he said, "I agree," and that was all he had said. Number 3, no description of the audit procedures. He believed this to be boilerplate information and that it was just understood the way an audit was done. Number 5 was no statement of demonstrated ability to thoroughly explain reasoning behind requesting or suggesting changes to be made. He said he would send an audit report via mail from another town, which he did. Number 6, listing of all municipalities for whom you audited the prior fiscal year. He only has 4 municipalities, and he bid on, his quote was, "I bid on this because it was an off tax season audit." Mr. Mowrey stated he understands how municipal accounting softwares work, but does not know how to do the actual entries in TRIO or NDS. I did verify with him to be sure he understood he was doing the school and the town audits for the price he quoted, and that we are not part of an RSU or SAD, and he stated that he understood. Limerick also mentioned that they had been using Mr. Mowrey for their audit and changed to RTH Smith, with whom they were now very happy with. The reasons for the change cited were, and these are all quotes from one of the Limerick selectmen. It was nothing that I made up, it was quotes from a Limerick selectman. Inability to adapt to TRIO system. Many reports were submitted on green bar paper. Unable to assist with necessary restructuring of accounts. Unable to explain why a trial balance was out of balance. Did not understand the need for separate funds for certain things. They only saw him for 1 hour during the audit, and he did not meet with the selectmen to discuss issues or questions they had. He created the audit off information the town treasurer gave him without going further to verify. Regarding RTH Smith, Mr. Smith answered all of the requested criteria in their proposal. I did not need to ask for elaboration. Of the 4 towns that Mr. Mowrey performs municipal audits on, auditors at RTH Smith actually complete the school portion as they're part of school administration districts. Limerick stated that they had left Mowrey for RTH Smith for the above-cited reasons and were very happy with the staff and results of RTH Smith. Wiscasset also stated, we have used RTH Smith for a very long time and have just finished the bid process. RTH Smith was the low bidder. I contacted the town of Wells as well, and because they use Munis, I did not include them in the above table, but however, they stated we have been using RTH Smith for 6 or 7 years and have been happy with them. We are currently in the bidding process only because we haven't been out to bid in that time frame. I don't know why I'm shaking. And feel it is due process for the town. And that's my report.
Thank you. Okay, I'll open up for discussion.
When I read the email from Cherri, I thought it was evident to me that RTH Smith was the solid choice for the town to remain with. Just Mr. Mowrey not having information about how to use TRIO, which is what the municipal side of government uses, and NDS, which is what the school uses, it makes him really an unacceptable choice for our town.
Okay.
I agree.
I agree too. So I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the 3-year contract with RTH Smith.
I will second.
All in favor? Done. Do we have a contract that we have to sign? No?
Yeah, Cherri,
It's not there.
do you have the contract?
I have given you an engagement letter.
Would you please? So we can sign that. We can move on while waiting for that.
I think Mr. Lopez has something to say.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Did you want to speak now?
About the subject matter that you have at hand, yeah.
Okay, go right ahead.
I guess for some of us that have not been able to keep up with the cable committee or the cable cast that you guys put out, and to refresh my memory, I would like to know what the 2 bids were. I understand and I agree with Larissa's analysis of the one company, but I would like to be refreshed as far as what the dollar amount of those bids are.
One was 10,000, which was RTH Smith, and the other gentleman was 6,000.
But RTH Smith's bid was $1,500 for an individual audit, and Mr. Mowrey's was $2,500 for an individual audit, so it was higher. And the RTH Smith's bid was to not exceed 10,000.
Right.
It was not that it was going to be 10,000, but there was a guarantee that it would not exceed that.
Okay, and who was the other person?
RTH Smith
and?
Mowrey, M-O-W-R-Y, I believe.
Thank you.
Okay.
That contract with RTH Smith was priced for 3 years, right? Also.
Any further discussion on the audit? Okay, going on to appointing of ballot clerks. We have a
Yes,
bunch
yes.
of, okay.
I believe that the actual letter came with it in the sealed bid, but I didn't get that portion.
Okay.
Okay.
We can sign it tomorrow.
We can sign it in the morning.
We'll sign it in the morning. Thank you. Okay, we have appointment of ballot clerks that we have to get done. So I'll read off who we have to appoint. Jennifer Rue as election warden, Carl Litchfield as election deputy warden, Margaret Anthony as election deputy warden, and the following for ballot clerks: Carl Litchfield, Margaret Anthony, Robert Anthony, Maureen, Doddrell, Pam McAlinden, Charles Hefferon, Anita Buttrick, Marita Lowell, Estelle Gore, Richard Ham, Patricia Mucciaccio, Don VanSinderen, Richard Grohocki, Susan Mrazik, William Lotz, Tina Gagnon, Jane Archambeault, Alan Peterson, Marian Elliot, Clarence Langley, Ann German, Nancy Deans, William Deans, Virginia DeBoa, Michael Conway, Sheila Conway, Walter Scott, Robert Anderson, Monica Marino, Cherri Smith, and Robert Gore for ballot clerks.
I make a motion we sign the appointments brought forth by the town clerk.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, we have to sign each one of these.
I believe these are for 2 years,
Yes, so that was,
right?
yeah, 2012.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have the county tax bill. We have a letter from the County of York about the annual tax bill. Enclosed is your annual assessment for York County taxes. We are sending your tax bill early again this year in hopes that your community can help the county save on borrowing costs by partially or fully paying your county tax early. As you know, as you are no doubt aware, because of the county's fiscal year situation, it is necessary for the county to borrow all of its operating capital for the first 9 months of each year. Any early payment of taxes lessens the county's need to borrow as much, saving interest costs, which of course ultimately are passed on to the cities and towns. Your early payment of part or all of your county taxes is greatly appreciated by the county commissioners and county officials. We sincerely thank you, Richard B. Brown, York County Manager. So this is for $321,103.91, which normally is due the first day of September 2010, and it is not delinquent until October 31st, 2010. So they're asking us to pay this now.
I would make a motion that we plan on paying it as of October 16th, 2010, and that we also make a commitment to follow closely the county charter process to make sure that the fiscal year situation is straightened out.
What was the last part of your motion?
I guess it's not a motion.
not a
We'll do
motion,
one
yeah.
thing at a time.
All right.
The fiscal year thing it's very frustrating. It doesn't make any sense for it to continue on this way. We know it's a problem, and
Okay.
I'm hoping that the county charter will address this.
Well, I'll make the motion then, I guess, so we don't have a motion yet, right?
We do. I just
Make a
confused
motion
it.
that we pay by October 16th.
I guess I would ask to amend that motion, Marissa, to give us the leeway, maybe, you know, that pay week might be October 19th, 21st, or whatever, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Whatever the Friday payday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, so we'll send it out the last week of
How about-
pay period
sure.
in October.
Last pay week.
Sure. Second.
Okay. All in favor? Okay. Done.
The reason
Okay.
being for anyone who is just because our taxes are due October 15th, so we will actually have the money with which to pay the bill come October 15th.
That way we don't have to borrow any money.
Exactly.
Okay, Mr. Winchell would like to speak.
I'm just giving my annual update on what we've done in the last month or so. We've graded all of my dirt roads. Got all my dirt roads graded. We had an issue over on County Road a couple weeks ago there. culverts gave out from underneath there. We had a couple holes in the road we had to fix. It's kind of a big deal. Got that done. Those will be being paved in hopefully tomorrow night if anybody obviously travels that road and hits the bumps. We keep putting bump signs up, but they keep getting taken down. So we replaced them. We just finished up one of my FEMA projects up on Young's Ridge. We laid about 300 feet of riprap, changed some culverts, stabilized the hill, and we got some hot top going on up there possibly tomorrow. And that's it. Oh, and we just cleaned up the town shed. We swept it out. We got some issues with hot top we were talking earlier about, and I'm going to talk to Scott eventually here about what we're going to do to fix that problem. So.
Well, we can discuss that right now, if
Yep.
Scott's willing.
Scott's probably aware of it. We have a big hole at the entrance there.
Yep.
And this spring there, when the frost came out, it got pretty muddy. And about a week and a half ago, I went in there with my dump truck to turn around, and I hit that hole, and it reminded me that it had to be fixed. So I sent my guy down, had him sweep the area, and clean up the yard. Anyways, it was a mess. And what I propose is digging up the area where that is, because I guess it's been a problem for quite a while. Talking to my father back when he was road commissioner, I guess that would be a trouble spot now and then. So we've got some money in the account that we haven't touched. We got quite a bit of money in that account. So what I propose doing is digging that area up, repaving the entrance, and I think we'll still have enough money to put a gate up, a true gate. The pole where the no trespassing sign fell over the other day was rotted off, so at some point it'd be nice to put some sort of gate up so we can keep people from going in there and blowing donuts and getting into the shed and dumping stuff they probably shouldn't be dumping into the piles that we've got down there. So we've got the money in the budget to do it. I just figured I'd mention it.
Would your thoughts be, I know we used to have a cable across there, right, Scott? Would your thoughts be to put up a decent metal gate and say something like up at King's Old Pit, you know, one of the ones that you just swing open and stuff that's pretty much burglar proof, not burglar proof, but they still rip them down, but keep the honest crooks out anyway.
Yeah, definitely do something. We gotta do something. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, last year in that pile, I mean, there was tires and stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure the road commissioners didn't dump that stuff in there.
Right.
It's private people dumping in there, and we can't have that stuff. It's a liability overall.
You find more of a problem in the good weather than in the winter.
In the wintertime, we really can't shut the place up. In the middle of the night, when we roll through, we can't be getting out and worried about who's got a key to get in. It's pretty much right now when there's nobody around. In wintertime, there's usually someone in and out of there, getting sand, whatever. It's kind of monitored. Right now, there's absolutely nobody monitoring that place, so it'd be nice to keep the people out.
But you don't get much debris in the wintertime.
Yeah, in the wintertime, you don't get much people cleaning out their
Yeah.
basements and whatever. So I think right now it's a liability. We're gonna end up one day coming down there and finding a whole truckload of stuff from someone's yard that they couldn't take to the dump. And it's pretty appetizing seeing a big pile of stuff there as it is. So we've got over $12,000 right now in the account, and right now I'm just trying to get some prices on some hot top that at least pave the entrance, because after we swept it off, it's taking it hard, and at least do from the entrance to where the gate would be, where it is now. Beyond that, I wouldn't find it making a whole lot of sense paving anything in there because, well, we kind of run loaders and everything else over it, so it's probably not a good idea. But just at the main entrance coming in and out of the road, I think, you know, it needs a lot of attention.
You guys think that would be just as well off with a gate to get a hold of somebody like Stone or somebody like that to come up and do it, or something that you guys would think you'd be better off to do it yourselves? Or
I figured I'd call Stone or
whoever. I'm just,
who's that guardrail guy you used over there? Mainline.
Mainline.
Someone like that there. Get a couple numbers and see what we own. We've still got, well, not quite a month now, but at least get some numbers and see if we can get something rolling. I've got a couple other people giving me some numbers on hot top. I figure we might as well utilize that money. If we've got it there, we've got some issues down there we ought to fix, and we've got the money, we might as well do it now.
I know we've been talking about getting this off, but seems like forever.
So do you guys want to get together and talk about that this week? Because that's, I mean, that's your guys' gig.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you. Okay. We have announcements. We could open up to the floor if anybody has anything from the floor.
Ray Lopez. I have a couple questions, if memory serves me correctly. I think one of the things, first off, let me start with, the open forum last night at the school I thought was a very positive meeting between the public and the school district, and the information that was passed out was very informative. If memory serves me correctly, though, when I was chairing the cable committee, there had been some funds that had been allocated, or I don't know if the funds had been allocated, but that at some point in time we wanted the school to have the same capability of broadcasting their meetings. And I'm wondering what has happened of that. Has anyone on the administrative side over here in town made the offer to the school that they're able to set this type of situation up so that the public can be informed? And what's going on with that?
Pretty much since it started, I guess, when you say, what's it doing?
Who was informed, if I may inquire?
The superintendent, the school committee, the principal, several times.
Was this a word of mouth type of informative, or was this in
It was done
actual documentation?
It was done at these meetings, and it was done at school committee meetings. And it was done over the phone, and I believe, you'd have to ask Carol, but I believe there was some emails also sent out.
Okay. And where do we see ourselves as far as that progress of, maybe you guys don't know, of when the school will be able to kind of look more into this, to get the public informed from that side of what's going on with the town budget?
Well, I would think that, with the town budget or the school budget?
Well, actually, they're both running consecutively.
I understand
We have to
that,
make a
but-
decision, you know. I mean, I understand yesterday someone had made a comment, as far as, 5 million versus 1.7 million respectively.
Yeah.
Okay? And we as the public actually have to look at both sets. I mean, we step back and look at all the figures
Sure.
of what we're asking about. But I think that the one sector here is the fact that I don't believe that the school, the meetings from the school committee, are those still being gone and taped and televised?
School committee meetings, yeah.
And that's going on a continual basis as far as the school committee?
I don't know, I'm not gonna say, I couldn't tell you the dates of every meeting that's been televised, but, there's been somebody there.
Have Carol,
Some of your
have
questions.
Carol answer.
Hi, Carol.
School committee meetings are being taped and televised, and I've made pleas, I think, at every meeting for camera people.
Right.
And that's the reason that last night didn't get filmed, is because I didn't have a camera person to film it. Okay, so we just need camera people to film the meeting, and then, they could get...
But the committee is aware that they're able to be up to par as far as the same way as the town?
Are you talking about them having their own studio?
Correct.
I don't think that we have gotten to that point yet, to have them set up their own studio at the school. I don't think that we've made enough progress. I think that's kind of like jumping ahead. You would have to, number one, you'd have to have the money to set up the equipment in the studio. You have to purchase, you've got, what, $30,000 or $40,000 worth of equipment
Right.
that you would have to supply them with, and somebody would have to run it. The school isn't staffed for somebody to run a TV channel.
I guess, has that presentation been made to the committee itself as far as them having the ability to go that route?
Can
I think
I can say a little bit of
Yeah.
history on that. When we started the negotiations, which was in 2004, and I negotiated for about 3 years until I stopped being a selectman for a year. At that point, I had negotiated a separate, and I had a meeting with Brian Beeler at the time, the superintendent, and he was very interested in having a lab set up at the school. So I had in there negotiated the setup for the town hall and the setup for the school, to have their own equipment for the kids to get involved, to have a program for them to be able to film everything there. But sometime in that year, from when the negotiation was finished, they really MetroCast took a very hard stand on it, and that got negotiated out. So we ended up with just one camera and one setup. Now, so that's what happened there, because we had every intention of having the school have their own nice setup there for the kids to learn from, and a teacher to be part of it. Then part of the discussions with the cable committee many times when we were at meetings is that we would like to purchase an additional camera at some point, which could be used for the school, absolutely, and have them be able to get involved and have their own camera.
Yeah.
No,
And the other thing is, I'm not sure if you were still on the cable committee at the time when we did like the 5-year development plan. I believe you were. And that's one of the things that's a long-term goal, is for us to get the school. We have 2 channels, that we could possibly use, 25 and 26. And one of our long-term goals is this studio still has a lot of work to do before it's completely set up. It's still, probably 50%, but that was on our 5-year development plan. That's one of our goals, is to get the school on that channel 25.
And I commend not only the selectmen on previous, not only the previous, but the current administration here for having the foresight to put this into play. But I think that the people of Acton are only getting half of the story at this point in time, because the cable committee is going to lack for people to do any televising the meetings.
Ray, if I may, there was 2 events recently at the school, and Carol can speak a lot clearer on this. I know Larissa was part of it. That was set up. Mike Corey had said, I don't remember if it was at a school committee meeting or a selectmen's meeting, what it was, that they had cameras down there, 2 cameras that could be used to tape things at the school. So we put on the television station up here.
Can I explain it?
Okay.
They have cameras that aren't, the quality of our cameras, but they take the same tapes. And Mike Corey and I had discussed nights that our camera was being used, them filming with those cameras, and then just providing me with the tapes, and then I could put it on, I could put it through the regular. It might be a little bit poorer quality than, what comes out of our camera, but it probably wouldn't be, until we try it once, we don't know.
Right.
So there were 2 events that we had set up. I had got somebody to go down and film with the school's camera, because this camera was being used here. And then it was just a big miscommunication. And since then, Tricia Halliday and I have spoken, and we've really ironed it out as to who the point person is. Because what happened was the girl got there and nobody knew where the camera was. It was poor communication.
As far as their equipment.
Yes, as far as their equipment. And we did look at buying a second camera right now, but if you look at the number of occasions where you could use 2 cameras, we've probably only had 3 occasions where it's been a problem. It doesn't warrant spending $10,000 on another camera. We don't have camera people. Once we have camera people, some more volunteers, then it would be warranted. But sometimes I can't even get one person to use 1 camera. So it is too bad. It's unfortunate that the people are only getting half of the story, but until we have more volunteers for the camera, that's the way it's probably going to be.
Has the cable committee extended a hand to the school district as far as everything that has been set up, as far as the policies and procedures?
I welcome you to come in
and
and look at the correspondence back and forth. We've been working together since last July. I've dealt with Linda, Judy, Mrs. Halliday. We have had very open communication back and forth, trying to make arrangements. When you look at the fact that this studio hasn't been up and running for a full year yet, it takes time. It's a big project, and I think you, of all people, know that. So, but we are working together. We're working well together, and we're getting to that point. But it just takes time, and the more volunteers that we have, the more quickly we can progress.
There was 2 school people, Ray, I don't know, it was a couple months ago maybe, Mary Stanton and Tracy Scully. They said they would be interested in volunteering to work with the studio and filming and stuff. And they came up and they met with Scott Dunham Saturday, on that very Saturday morning. And they said they weren't interested in doing it right now, maybe at a later date. And those are the only, it's hard to get people.
Right. Okay.
Maybe you should refresh your skills, your camera skills, Ray, because you were there last night. You could have filmed it and observed it at the same time.
That's a Ray Lopez statement. I like that.
She's got you there, Ray.
Thank you, Carol. There were two statements that were made last night at that meeting, and I believe personally it was a very productive meeting. There was no question that was not answered to the best of their ability. Two things that really concerned me, and as a newcomer to this town, and I've heard the complaints not only from the selectmen, but also from the school committee of attendance as far as coming to the meetings. The issue that came up on that situation was, it was the verbiage was used as far as animosity. Okay. There is animosity. There always will be a 10% pile of people that will buck any system that you have. But I think we've reached a point in time for the citizens of Acton, not only the ones that have been here for a lifetime, but the new ones that are coming in, that whatever animosity exists between the school and the town should be put aside, and we should start working together, to inform the people.
What do you mean between the school?
The animosity, like as I said before, there's always that sector of us and them, okay? And it seems to be that they're continuously bumping heads, all right? And regardless of what motives there are behind it, whether they're personal or political, I think that just hurts the town of Acton.
Well,
in general.
there's always, two sides, right? That's what democracy is.
I understand that. There's always two sides, and plus, from those two sides, you always have to decipher the truth.
Oh, yes.
Or
Okay.
even more likely, 10 sides.
Yeah, but, that only comes from the 10% that is always there, no matter what group you have, as far as that type. But there are some people that kind of start to fuel some of that animosity, and I made a statement to one of the committee members from the school yesterday about that particular situation. And I told him, I said, we have to stop with the animosity between this and that. Another citizen brought up the point that is why there is such poor attendance, not only to this meeting, but to the school meeting. Okay?
We have good attendance here.
Well, out of 2,000-something people that live in Acton, this is pretty poor attendance.
It used to be 2 or 3.
I understand that. But, and then the other thing that I have, it was kind of a thorn in my side, Dennis, actually has to deal with you.
Okay.
And that would be that the school came to you and asked that a bulletin be posted on Channel 26 about the upcoming meeting.
Yeah, that was Thursday night.
Right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't done possibly until Saturday or Sunday that was
It was
put in.
Saturday, I think.
Okay. Why that delay? If everything was put through...
Well, it isn't just to me, Ray. I make very clear that all 3 selectmen are here with the question.
Right, but if memory serves me correctly,
and we also-
being from the cable committee, only one selectman has to sign off on that particular item.
Right. So what I'm saying is, I am no more innocent or guilty than any of these 3 selectmen. Than any of the 3.
Well, the only reason I bring it to you, sir, is because it was brought to your attention.
It was brought to all 3 of our attention at the meeting.
Okay. I wasn't aware of that. It was only told
And
it was you.
on Saturday, it was brought to my attention
Well,
that
what about Thursday?
that I hadn't done it, or Jennifer hadn't done it.
Okay.
And I also said, well, tell her, Judy, when Judy called, that I apologize. I forgot.
Right. And all that was brought out
and-
last night.
And Jennifer put it on the website, and Carol wasn't here, and Jennifer went out and put it on the TV.
Okay.
I'm only one person, right?
Right. But, do you see where that would turn off a lot of the populace as far as coming and voting, because we talked about, you know, when you go to the school and they're voting in their budget, the majority of the people that are there, of course, are people that are associated with the school.
Well,
I
that
believe
wasn't-
this year's vote was 50 to 6,
Yeah,
okay?
I didn't. I went.
Well, I understand that, but, I mean, you have to get the word out as soon as possible, is all I'm saying.
Well, you're talking about negativity, right?
No, sir, I'm not, I'm
No,
just
no,
asking you a question.
No, you were asking about if I could do a better job and bringing everybody together.
Right,
This is basically what
and
you were
that's
saying.
not negativity, that's called accountability.
Okay, accountability. I will tell you this, to the best of my knowledge, I have done nothing but try to work with the school.
I understand.
And nobody that works up here, and I'm going to use for me liberally because I'm only one selectman, has not put one thing in the newspaper negative about anything about anybody at the school.
Right.
Unlike employees at the school
And I called him on that
have
last
done,
night.
well, regardless, have done that towards the Board of Selectmen. So I can't see how anybody can perceive that the selectmen are doing anything to cause a negative impact on the school budget or the people attendance at the school meetings.
No, I don't blame the selectmen for any of the attendance. I'm looking at information being put out there on a more timely manner so that the word will get out more to the public, you know. I mean,
Well, the
instead
school
of
was
having...
mailed out, how many notices, right?
You know, it's all about, way back in the beginning, Dennis, when you first ran, I told you and I told this board, and I believe Nancy Rumo was on this board, with me, it's all about accountability.
Yeah.
And if I am under the same token, I have not changed one iota, and whether dealing with the selectmen or whether I'll be dealing with the school board. It's all about accountability, and I told them, I said, I don't mind putting money into a budget for the school, but I want every single dollar accounted for. I want the minimal amount of waste that there can be.
Well, addressing me, like you said you were doing,
Right.
where have I not been accountable?
Well, just in this last recent one was the fact that you were told on Thursday and you didn't get on until Friday or Saturday.
But like I said, that isn't just me. This is the board.
Okay, so the entire board was told on Thursday.
No, we were emailed about it days before that.
Okay.
So it was the entire, well, then I'm holding the entire board? I'm asking.
I'm just saying.
Why?
I'm not just the only one here.
Right, no, but I'm saying, you know, your name came up in particular, so that's
I'm sure
where I
it
have to
did.
go.
I'm sure it did.
And I didn't defend you, you know, even though you're my brother, I didn't.
I don't expect you to.
So I'm just asking the board, please, you know, do put out the messages as quickly as possible.
Normally we do is
The
Barry.
people
This
need
one
to
was
be
forgotten,
informed.
right? This one was forgotten.
All right, thank you very much.
I'd just like to say the only time your name was brought up last night was that I reported that you apologized, because I got the message through Jennifer. It was Tuesday that I called and said, you know, why wasn't it on there? And when she called me back, she said, Dennis said he apologizes. That's the only reason your name came
Well, I
up.
lose track of days. I thought it was Saturday when I was here, but apparently it wasn't.
And the reason it came up at all was because people were mentioning last night that, you know, it was too bad that it wasn't better advertised and that it wasn't, that there weren't more people there.
And you know, Judy, that they say that about every meeting,
I know.
whether it's a public hearing on some zoning thing,
But I just wanted you to know that the only way your name came up last night was that I reported that you had apologized for it. That's all.
Again this week, I said it last week, and I want to urge everybody, if you want something on the cable, please fill out the form. Or at the very least, I mean, I'm not doing it anymore without a form at all, but people have a habit of emailing my personal email account that I don't have in front of me when I'm at the studio. So I might see it at home at 11 o'clock at night or whatever, but when I come in here the next morning and it's not in front of me on the computer and I have 1,000 things in front of me, I'm not going to remember to do it. You have to fill out the forms. Jennifer's putting the forms on the website tomorrow. They're available here at the town hall. I have to have that form filled out from now on. I was bending it a little and letting people email the studio and printing that off and using that. But there's been a lot of complaints about things not getting on, so I really have to buckle down and say, okay, if I don't have a form, it doesn't go on. And that'll cover me from now on.
And we can see about when Jennifer is putting them on the website, but maybe we can also see if there's a way for her to make that as a PDF file that could be emailed.
It is.
Oh, great.
I'd like to make a clarification. I don't think anybody here should blame the Board of Selectmen. I think each and every one of us should blame ourselves for not being there at that forum last night. This letter was sent out to everybody, to my knowledge. It gave you the specifics on the budget, the forum that was being held, and I have to tell you that other than school board members and anybody representing the school, there were 9 people in attendance for a $5 million budget. You have no one to blame but yourselves. Don't blame this Board of Selectmen because it wasn't on television. Blame yourselves for not reading your mail. Thank you.
Anybody have anything else?
Marian says she didn't get one of those letters. John said he got 2, so maybe he got Marian.
Back a couple meetings ago.
Quiet, bud.
Okay. It was brought up that... Back a couple of meetings ago, it was brought up that we had a lady in town that was offering to donate 190 acres of land to the town. And I'd like to ask what the status is of that.
I haven't talked to the lady.
Were you going to call her or something?
She called us that week, and the status is that we have not heard back from her since that phone call.
And what happened with the phone call?
She called and asked what happened next and how land, that she said that she was told that it would have to go before town meeting and so forth, and I said yes, that was true. And I asked her what was the purpose of, what was she hoping to have happen with her donation. And she said that she was donating the land to the town. She needed to make a donation of the land in order to have the largest federal tax credit possible that she could receive. And how could the town help her to do that? And I said, well, honestly, the highest possible federal tax credit that you're going to receive will not come from the town. It would come from something like Three Rivers Land Trust instead.
So, in essence, you tried to convince the lady
No.
to give this land to someone other than the town.
I would disagree with that statement. A taxpayer of our town called and asked how she could receive the highest federal tax credit for her land. And just as if any town taxpayer were to call me and ask for information that I had, I gave her that information.
Then you're an expert in taxation.
Actually, as far as tax credits for donations of land, I do have quite a bit of experience, yes.
Well, I cannot see how that could possibly have been acting in the best interest of the town of Acton. I can't possibly imagine. That piece of property is worth quite a lot of money. And I think that if a donor called and wants to give something to the town, I think it is disrespectful to the donor and disrespectful to the citizens of this community to lead them in a different direction.
I think that it is disrespectful of the donor to not offer them the full table of information. And at the same time that I let her know that, I also let her know the full process with the town, that we had already discussed it at length, that the town was excited to receive it, and that she would be pleased talk to who she needed to, please consult with her own financial advisor and find out from them what would be in her best interest, and to please contact the town back so that we could have this the full conversation. That is my, I think, obligation, is to serve the people of the town. This is not the town's land. It is the land of this individual woman who is a single mother of 3 children and who is looking to make sure that it credits her as best financially as it can while still donating the land.
That wanted to give it to the town of Acton.
That
Obviously
wanted to make the
felt
highest
that the town of
federal-
Acton was worth giving a donation to.
And if she feels that way, then she will call us and she will do so, Mr. Hodgson.
On this same topic, if memory serves me correctly, was this land not offered in lieu of forgiveness of taxes?
No, I asked her that. I said, I'm under the impression that you're looking to donate the land in lieu of taxes. She said, no, absolutely not. I have every full intention of paying the taxes in full.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. I think I would like to read something, which
That
is...
is campaign literature.
No, it's not.
Absolutely
When I
not.
saw it on Dennis's desk the first time, I was told, don't worry, this has nothing to do with the town, this is just campaign stuff.
This list is accomplishments that the Board of Selectmen, including you, Larissa, have accomplished in the last year.
I was not asked to help make up this list in any way. And like I said, the first time I saw it, I was told that it was campaign stuff, not town.
I just thought, since...
I have not passed this out as any campaign thing. Have you, Tony?
No.
All right.
I thought just we're close to the end of the fiscal year that we could say something positive.
Then let's say something positive at our last meeting of the fiscal year.
I think it's a fine line. This is not politics, this is
And I would
fact.
love to have some input into what was on that list. If it's something that we as a board should be proud of, then we as a board should have contribution to it.
I mean, if we should be proud, I'm very proud of everything we've done as a board.
It's all positive.
That's fine, then it can positively be addressed in a fully positive manner on the 30th.
Well, it's fine, Tony.
Okay.
Yeah, if you were around here a little more often, you could probably get
Okay.
part of these things.
Well, I want to address one, I want to address one thing. Excuse me. I'm going to address one question that was asked, this is a fact, where it was said that the selectmen's voting is always 2-to-1. Okay, and that's a factual question, and I want to give you the statistics of the selectmen's voting, that this board has had 48 selectmen's meetings. Okay, in 48 selectmen's meetings, 174 votes were 3-0. 174 votes were 3-0. Okay? 6 votes were 2-1, with Larissa being the anti on that. 2 votes were 2-1, with Dennis being the anti-vote on that. There's been 1 abstention on a vote by Dennis and 1 abstention on a vote by myself. So I just wanted, those are statistics that I wanted to bring out. Okay, 174 3-0 votes, 6 2-1 votes, actually 8 altogether 2-1 votes. So if someone had asked about that, that's the statistic. I think it is.
I think it shows how well we really have worked together.
I think it is. Anything else from the floor? Okay. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?